City and Orbital. Thanks for having us. This one goes out to all the commanders out there. It's called Victory. I hope y'all like it. 1, 2, 3, let's kick it.
And welcome, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining today as we do pretty much the last in this series for this round of beta, as we, a big group of us, discuss the issues around beta, the changes that we've gotten. I'll wait here just a second to do intros until Plater gets back to join us. But we're going to do what we've done for the last couple of these streams. If you'd like to come join us in Discord, please do. I just posted in the link to the Discord. I want to pre-thank the moderation team. You guys have been great for the last few of these, for taking care of chat and for making sure everybody's got the link to that. So if you want to come chat with us, please do. I'm going to keep the channel silent during the stream just because there is a lot to discuss, and maybe toward the end we'll see how quickly we go through stuff today. I might open it up for some questions. I'll try to pay attention to chat questions. The moderators, if you guys see something that is relevant, something we haven't hit on, or something that we should address, by all means, find a good spot and jump in with that. We've got a couple people that are going to be joining us late, or at least one. Ryan with SDC is going to join us a little bit late. And yeah, we'll talk about the changes Frontier has made this week, the good and the bad, the things that still very much need changing, kind of all of our different opinions on it. I think we'll probably start with maybe a little breakdown, and I'm stalling a little bit here for Plater to join us. A little breakdown of kind of what our take is now that we've seen the changes, kind of how we feel about that, what we're still looking for. So yeah, I hope everybody's going to be interested in that. Jeff, I just took the one from the beginning of your name just so you wouldn't sort up with the rest of us for the moment, if that's okay, buddy. Yeah, so come join us, and then after the stream.
What's happening?
Hey, Yamiks is here. Welcome, buddy. I was just kind of pre-stalling, waiting for Plater to finish his intro.
Oh, we're waiting for Plater again.
Here, and I think he's done. He just pinged and said, I think he's ready. On in then. I'm done. All right. And so, yeah, let me go ahead and welcome everybody that's joining me today. I'm going to do what I did last time, guys, on mine, and just do this alphabetical order. Certainly, folks on my channel know who I am. I'm Exigius. For Platers, who's been gracious enough to host us as well. Yamiks, are you streaming as well?
Yes. Okay. Say hello to the internet, folks.
Great. Hello to Yamiks' stream as well. I'm Commander Exigius. I make the boring-ass tutorials that show you how to play the game. Next up, we've got, or one of the ones that do that. Next up is Mullen Reich. Mullen, why don't you tell the folks about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I'm in Canonn. I'm an head of exploration.
Okay, great. And how long have you played, roughly, Mullen?
Since around 2014.
Oh, okay. So very early in the betas then.
Yes, it has been a few years. So I've been flying around the galaxy, mostly trying to go where no one can make it. So the fleet carrier is a great addition to that.
Gotcha. And next up on the list would be Plater.
Hello, I'm Commander Plater. I make videos. I stream. I videos about Utterly Dangerous, which people have probably come across, and yeah, that's me. What else I got?
That sounds like a pretty good description to me, right? Next up, we've got the pilot.
Hello, I'm the pilot. I'm the guy who makes the videos, and one who still hasn't made the Corvette video for some reason.
Is that your last one?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I know you said that maybe you were. We'll maybe discuss about your future
what about
here.
Fleet carrier? Huh? It's not a ship.
That's true.
Well, I mean, I could just put it on camera and just laugh about it for about 20 minutes, and I don't think it'll get the views though.
These days it might, right?
Yeah.
And last up is the great and powerful Yamiks.
Yes, folks, and honestly, at this point, describing yours truly is, I don't know. Chat, feel free to describe yours truly in, I don't know, 5 words, like enjoy yourself. Basically, that's going to be the best description you're going to get all night.
Well, that's
so let's carry on.
Not a bad description. And Yamiks, what have you been doing for the last couple hours?
Mining.
Just mining? Okay.
Mining?
Well, because you love mining so much, right?
Oh, well, the thing is, I need stuff for PvPing, and I might as well. I sure as fuck ain't gonna buy the fucking fleet carriers, so Might as well have the PvP money, so people can kill me constantly. Yay me!
Well, it's
They're doing
it's definitely
a
good.
lot.
How much are you up to, Yamiks, in rebuys at this point?
Oh god, should be about 4 billion.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't realize you were higher than me. I'm at 3. So that's pretty impressive.
Well,
You're
that's
flying
what
bigger
happens.
ships, right?
Well, I put out my wonderful Wang tank from time to time as well, so it's 30 mil right down the drain immediately. So, woohoo!
Yeah. So great. Well, let's get into and guys, for us, we'll use, if it's cool, we'll use the creator private channel. I'll ping you guys there right now just so you know where we are. We'll do the same raise our hand method that we've done for the other streams that I think's been pretty successful. Why don't we go through, and if you guys think this is a good idea, we'll start with the kind of just our thoughts on the where we are now, right? Thoughts on the changes that they've made, what we kind of feel like, maybe briefly what we feel like going forward needs to be changed, and then we can kind of get into the nitty and gritty of that. Does that sound like it works for you guys?
Yeah, sounds fun.
Sure.
Pilot's got his hand raised already. Why don't you go first, Pilot?
I desperately at this point need someone to try and sell me on this thing. Why do I need this? Why would I want it? I want some amount of salesmanship in either a promo video or a list of things that'll vastly change the game or even minorly change the game. Why
Sure.
should I pick up a fleet carrier?
I think that is a great request. In fact, if you, I think you heard it, Pilot. That's one of the things that I put to Bruce, and even said to him. Bruce is one of the community managers, by the way, and said to him was, I think you guys need to put out a post that is, this is who fleet carriers are for. Right. This is why basically they need to answer that question. I completely agree. Right. I mean, I think we can all should we all give a stab at trying to answer that question?
I got nothing.
Yamiks, Plater, Molin? Plater, you want to try to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I can take a shot. And I can only tell you what I would want from them as they are, what I would use them for, I guess, because that's all I can do. I don't actually know what you want from them, or, what would be the thing that would be like, bam, I need this in my life. But for me, at least with the reduction in costs, immediately I'm like, obviously it's going to be a lovely mantelpiece, lovely mantelpiece trophy for me, but also at the same time, I'm going to at least try and make some money from it, at least initially. Give it a go. I'm going to try and, I'm going to mine a bunch of bromolite, going to sell a wicked markup, give that a go. At least once everyone's moved out the bubble or given up on carriers, then I'll give it a go. But I would 100% use it for supporting BGS, because there are plenty of times where we have chosen not to go for a particular system or a station within a system. My factions decide not to do that because we don't have the option of large landing pads, and it starts to become very complicated when you just have outposts. Because sure, you can just go in and you can just have the medium ships and you can do it, but everyone wants to bring out their big guns, don't they, when there's a BGS thing happening. So that's something that I'll probably be doing, and I will very much use it to support my squadron. Being the leader of the squadron, I suppose I probably should. But also, I'm a terrible dictator, so I'll demand they pay me for it. So they're on top of it as well. I mean, I will be happy if it breaks even. I don't need it to necessarily make a. Do I think it's going to make 500 million credits in 3 hours? No, it's never going to do that. So mining is probably still going to be a chief money maker, but I'm going to be using it as a support ship and a support vessel. That's what I will be using for it. If that doesn't appeal to you because it isn't your gameplay style, sorry.
No, I totally get that. I totally understand the concept of this is what it can do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a process to these things. You are sold on something, and then the minutia of, this is how you're going to pay for it, or this is the lease, or this is the buying terms, or this is the price, or this is what you're going to have to do to maintain it, or anything like that. And I feel like we moved on to that step without the initial, this is why it's cool.
Well, and you know what? In
And-
fact, to that point, Pilot, that's one of the few things we've discussed, right? We've mostly been bitching about the costs of them and all of this stuff, all the numbers around it, and we haven't really much, certainly this group anyway, on our streams talked a lot about how we do plan to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would love to find out, like, I mean, yes, you can park it and use it for mining and storage, et cetera, et cetera. You can use it for BGS, et cetera, et cetera. But for the moment, there's no thing that makes it feel like anything more than just another plateau to hit and go, well, I'm here now. What's next?
Well, if
This
I can,
doesn't change the game.
if I can ask Plater a couple of questions based on what you had said, Plater. Like, it's one of your goals, and first of all, the BGS goal, completely agree. I share that goal as well. Let me ask you, I'm curious your thoughts around earning credits with it, right? How do you feel like as it is right now? And I think there's a lot of, obviously we need to get these in their hands. I've tried to liken these as, Elite's a sandbox game. This is a new tool. It's a new shovel, right? What does this new tool and shovel give us? So how do you feel like you might be able to make credits with it? Are we talking commodities, shipyard modules? Like, what are you thinking?
Okay. We ain't making money off the shipyard or the modules. I'm just saying that flat now. The way it currently is, I don't see that happening because of the fact that we are paying cost price, that we would buy them, recommended retail price. We're not paying cost price. We're having to sell them at above the price that a commander would normally pay, well above Shinrata still. So I kind of think that needs some tweaking. Same with ships. I think we need some flexibility of what we can actually sell. Why am I having to purchase packs of belugas, orcas, and dolphins together when people probably don't want to buy those particular numbers of those things? So that's my thoughts with that. I do see some profit to be made with, no, I see some cost covering to be done with the selling of commodities. Also, you do have the opportunity to buy some commodities, but it's going to be very difficult to put yourself out there as a purchaser or even a seller. As a seller, like I said, you whack yourself in a system. You're full of bromelight. I can't remember who this system engineer is in, but you put yourself in there. You change the name of your carrier to buy bromelight here, and then people will be arriving there and be like, "Oh, bromelight." It's kind of a lucky shoot, and you you overcharge for it. You charge over.
So you're
over the odds for it.
advertising free candy, Van. Okay.
Yeah, when all I want is them in the back of the van. 100%. Yeah.
Perfect.
Right?
Great.
But that's what you want. You want their wallet, and that's it. And get rid of them.
And
It's Bill Turner, by the way, the one who needs bromelain.
It is.
That's for plasmas.
And if I ask her the quick Plater, just kind of a follow-up, then I'd love for Yamiks to share his thoughts on just it in general and maybe on this too, is, when you say earning credits and if you're going to sell Barmalite and things like that, do you see this as earning credits in a role-playing, I don't care how many credits I'm earning, or as in a, as you already acknowledge, you're clearly never going to make what you're going to make with mining, or really, I think any other activity. Do you have aspirations of making? Maybe that's the better question. What are your aspirations around profits? Do you see yourself earning 100,000 credits a week, 10 million a week, or 100 million a week?
Okay, you can stop that right there, right? Right. So basically, fleet carriers. So essentially, right. Fleet carriers is designed for someone who has already a lot of money. That is somebody who has already spent, obviously, because of that a lot of money, you've spent a lot of time in the game. And at that point, you already have everything, right? That's since fleet carriers are designed right now for personal, essential use, right? It's not a squadron-based use. It's a personal thing, right? So what person who already has everything you can give, right? He doesn't need cash, clearly, unless he's a perpetual grinder. And for that, honestly, you might as well go to a strip club, to be honest. So yeah, no. Obviously, it's going to be somebody who just simply looks at the fleet carrier and thinks, okay, well, big thing, that's mine. That's my trophy of the game. And all right, so be it. I can make some money out of it. Sure. That's about it. It just simply needs to be basically a trophy that, doesn't, act like a massive fucking punishment dildo.
And so
There you go.
are you saying this is what you're planning to use them for, Yamiks, personally, or what you see them as?
Me? I plan to not use them at all. I plan to just simply abandon them completely as soon as I can. That is outside the bait, is what else. I'm not going to be buying something that is designed to be fucking psychologically manipulative. So, no, I don't need that shit. I get my real life for it. So,
Would you, Larry,
yeah,
let me ask a
okay.
follow-up question to that. If you didn't have a YouTube channel, right? If you weren't making videos on this stuff,
Oh, I would not be playing Elite first and foremost after seeing something like this, for sure.
Okay, so two questions then. One, really, you do think this would make you quit, and then two, you would not buy one if it were not for your channel.
Oh, no, right. So let's say if I didn't make videos, right, and I didn't have the obligation for the people to at least
Right.
present them and show them and you know, basically explain a couple of things as
Right.
a
Right.
personal incentive, right? I would definitely not buy them because, well, yeah, there's no real gameplay around it. And the things that I can do, I would need a player group to play with. And for that, the squadron should exist. And that for that, these things should be tied to squadrons rather than personal use. So again, it's just that design flip-flopping. It doesn't make sense. So for personal use, what's the point if you're a solo player? It literally is just useless. And really, when it comes down to the way I play things, right, I'm a collector often.
Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna
Not
like
something
I'm gonna address the solo player stuff a bit in a second. But let me go to
And you have plenty of good points there too.
No, and as do you, right? So let's go to Molin real quick. So Molin's with Canonn. We had a bunch of requests last time around to bring an Explorer on, and so Molin, talk to us about how you or you see Explorers using these things.
Yeah, well, Fleet Carrier can fly to stars where nobody has been before, like between 150 to 500 light years. So me and a few guys from Canonn, by testing the Fleet Carrier, we went above the bubble, above Sol, a little bit over 3,000 light years, and those stars were about 250 light years. So nobody had been to them before. So I see that as a possibility, since there are a lot of stars on the edge of the galaxy, up and down. Yeah.
So just to clarify, literally at this point, you've already been to stars that you otherwise would not be able to reach without these things.
Yeah, and
okay.
I've even found some interesting stuff.
Such as?
Bio.
Okay. And anything, I mean, I assume, I don't mean it in a negative way, but it's the same, like, they haven't added anything new. It's the same stuff we found. But have you found things that otherwise, like I know, for example, the sinuous tubers, I don't think any of those are closer than, like the core. Have you found anything like that is unique?
Not at the moment, but the view is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It would probably be in Codex if it was unique these days.
True.
So,
True.
Yeah.
True. If you've got any...
Depends if that's fixed.
If you've got any screenshots, I would love to see any screenshots that I could share on stream.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Yeah.
Made panorama.
Great. Post them in the channel we've been using. I'd love to share those on stream.
Yeah. I posted it earlier, further up in the.
I didn't realize that's what that was. Okay, hold on just a second. I'll bring that up.
Yeah, you know what would be pretty fun? It'd be really, really awesome if Genosis didn't happen. And now we would be able to go to Call Sector with these things. That'd be pretty funny to see developers just stressing out and seeing players basically in meant to be a restrictive zone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see that shit fest.
So I'm showing the first... I'm personally, I don't know if Plater and Yamiks want to show this too. I'm showing the first picture that you posted.
Yeah, that's Bernard's Loop.
Okay. And all the little things I'm seeing, are those all small nebula? All the little black spots? What are those?
No, that's the black areas of the
the
pillar.
I gotcha.
So Sol should be straight down, and you can see Witch Head and California Nebula down there, so you can kind of see where.
Yep.
I don't have that channel.
Oh, it's in the one here, Yamiks. It's in the private channel on the level 11. Just scroll up a bit from the bottom. You'll see them.
You can show it on stream if you want.
Whatever, fine. Screw it. It's all right. It's all right.
I just pinged you there just so you can find it a little easier. Pilot, before I jumped in with my thoughts, you wanted to get back in queue. Did you have something you wanted to share?
Oh, somebody mentioned the other day that giving away money to other players or allowing player credit transfer
Credit
back and
transfer.
forth.
Basic
Yeah.
credit transfer.
Yeah.
That was bad because it would allow them to allow new players to bypass the game, and that's not what we want. Et cetera,
In a
et cetera.
normal game, that shouldn't happen.
Exactly. Well, you know what? I fundamentally disagree. I think we should be able to throw credits wherever we want and buff wherever we want and see where the economy and where the player base goes from there. But how does a carrier that, first of all, allows you to do that, but second of all, how does a carrier that sells bromolite for Bill Turner not exactly the same thing? You're literally just helping someone bypass the game, aren't you?
Well,
Isn't that what you were object against?
I kind of, well, and that was Plater's argument, so I don't know. I'll let maybe Plater. Yeah, Plater, let me let you respond to that. Yeah, go right ahead, Plater.
I would say that the game is evolving. It changes, so it doesn't necessarily remove gameplay. It changes gameplay. You still have to get the bromolite from somewhere, and if you find it, you can sell it. If you find it, you can buy it from someone. Is that necessarily different from going and mining it? Considering you're going to go and mining anyway to get credit, so you're gonna learn mining at some point because you'll go and you Google what's the best way to get credits in Elite Dangerous. Oh look, it's mining. So I don't think it necessarily takes anything away. It would encourage player interaction ish, because you're not necessarily players interacting, but interacting with player structures or player components. But I don't think there's a lot of difference between that. I think it's a pull to enable to do that. I mean, I got my bromolite when I was unlocking. The engineer is that I went, I need to get some bromolite today. I had 10 people turn up on stream and just give it to me. Do I feel like I missed out? No. Did I really miss out? No.
Actually, you're making my argument for me. Is that how is that any different than, hey, if a new player comes in and they want to buy a new ship and they know how to do it and they have practice in mining or whatever, they just don't want to. What's the harm in me giving them 100 million to do whatever the hell they want? Yes, it bypasses gameplay, but you understand where I'm going with this?
I see where you're coming from. I just don't agree. Essentially, that's where I am. I just don't think it's a bad thing. Because, I mean, do you think I lost out on gameplay because I didn't go and get 10 tons of bromolite from mining?
No, I don't. But I also don't think that giving credits to players is, verboten either.
I mean, it's very difficult to do it. Right? Still, there's a lot of arrangements you have to make. You can't just kind of open your wallet and throw stuff at people.
But I think
you should be able to.
Well, I was going to say, I think pilots, and if I can jump in with an answer real quick, because Pilot and I have discussed this ad nauseum, in fact, on a stream once. I think where I go with it, Pilot, is I kind of half agree with you, right? To Plater's, kind of the argument about bromolite goes, if we clarify about that goes to something that, EIC's done for a long time. And I think that adds some very interesting, gameplay, right? I mean, we've got a sandbox, we've built new tools and that, a new service that EIC can provide to give you things like that. Let's also clarify that the carriers cannot store and sell rares. Okay, so good or bad, right now, you can't skip that part of gameplay using the carriers. Now, again, you could argue that EIC kind of does that already. And so,
it's a ridiculous, formality.
And I'm not saying that, I'm not defending that. What bothers me and has always bothered me about credits, about direct player-to-player transfer, and I think we can argue how prevalent this would be is, and I will admit, given that Elite is a much more niche game than others, it's probably not as big a concern, is the simple notion of credit farming and, it becoming, this is what you and I discussed before, they're becoming a real world market around it, right? Hey, I'll give you $10 for, I'm making a number up here, 100 million credits, whatever that number would be, all right? Now, I do agree that you would not want to hamper gameplay because of that, right? Because that is a pretty outside argument, I'll absolutely admit. I think, though, I agree in the sense of if I'm rich and wealthy and powerful in the game and I have friends, just like in life, your rich and powerful friends can give you a leg up, right? And that there's not necessarily something wrong with that. I think if that were to happen, other things in the game would need to change. For example, the biggest complaint I've always had is the notion that you just buy ships, that there's no people have used the term like a license, or you have to do something to unlock
Yeah, that
a
was
ship.
my idea.
Yeah, that's more than the stupid rank grind we have for Imperial and Federation rank, right? I mean,
Yeah, you
why
have to
does
earn it?
Yeah, like we earn the Corvette by doing data delivery missions. What the fuck? Okay, so I think if
No,
there
no, no.
was
You're
some
transferring Torvald's old porn.
well,
There we go.
okay, so I think there was some notion of complete this exercise, right? To unlock the Corvette, you have to do combat skills. You have to demonstrate those skills in some way. And so I think if the game was less built around credits, I would have much less of a problem with direct player-to-player transfer as I do, given that the game is only based around credits. Unless you get into engineering, you can argue that materials are...
Yeah, that's a whole different level.
Whole different
Engineering is
thing.
another
right?
level of
Yeah,
grind.
whole
and
different
that's
thing.
Basically, just
But
no,
I'm going to
it's the
say
same
right here,
thing, but with different currency.
what I'm going to say here is that realistically, carriers have made it even more easier just to hand over money.
Oh, I agree.
back and
Absolutely.
forth.
Absolutely. Especially given the notion that now I can sell something to you for a credit that you can then go sell for, 1,000,000 credits a ton, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yes, they have.
But I mean, it's just slavery with extra steps,
I agree. And I might agree. I mean, I think this is one that we're going to have to see how it shakes out. When they announced that this was going to be the feature, I was surprised and don't think it's a good idea because it is too easy to give out credits. And kind of to your point, if we are just going to allow credit transfer essentially that easily, just fucking allow it. I don't think
Exactly.
they'll do that. And I think maybe the argument is that because you do have to jump through that hoop, it keeps... if credit farming was, if giving credits was just as simple as here's 100 million credits, and it literally was just that simple, I think the fear of a real economy, or when I say real economy, like real world dollars changing hands, I think that is much, much more likely than than the notion
It
of,
already is.
but it's not to the level that
I've
it
looked
is.
at it. I've made a video about it.
Well, and
Prices are laughable,
amazing.
though. The prices are ridiculous. Like,
The-
no one's
And
going
they
to be paying for
changed the
that.
prices after I made that video.
yeah, and
I
and
guarantee
do,
someone's done it.
Yeah, and you know what, Pilot? I'm sure they have too, but I think for me the notion of that being, standard. This is what we just discussed last time, and I'm not going to keep beating this into the ground because there's other stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
But I will admit that since the conversation you and I had, back, what was that, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, I'm probably I probably care about it a lot less than I used to, and see it as a lot less of a problem. If I'm going to vote one way or the other, I'm going to vote against it. Do I think it's going to destroy the game? I don't think so. I do think it would be a negative for the game, but I don't think that it would destroy it, right? I think that, as I said a second ago, if you had this notion of some better way to unlock ships, then I would almost not be against it at all, right? Because if you had to, you had to earn your, I'm going to make a number up here, your 500 million credits to buy your vet, or say 1 billion credits to buy your vet, and you had to demonstrate some level of skill that took, some level of time to achieve, I've almost got no issue with it.
Revocable licenses.
And something like that,
quests and
sure.
missions,
I think about the way it's something like iRacing, and even Project Cars 2 does this to a degree. They have a licensing system. You can't race with this next class of racers until you've done, until you've run so many races, you've placed this many times, you've had, you haven't had collisions, things like that. And then if you start fucking up and slamming into people, you get your license revoked and you drop back down. Something like that, I would be a fan of. Let me move this on. I think Mullen, maybe, I don't know if you wanted to chime in on this, Mullen. I know you had something to talk about with commodities.
Yeah, personally, I don't see the reason for the commodity market. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I think it should be removed as it's exploitative.
Okay, and so I was going to ask why, and you think simply from the fact of what we're talking about that you can exploit it in this way.
Well, new players that have gotten credits given to them, I hear some of them have stopped playing and they lost the whole experience with Elite and didn't really play because they saw no reason for it.
I think I do think there's some argument to that. I guess the counter argument, and you guys tell me what you think, is, who are we to tell somebody how they should or should not play the game? I mean, I think there's maybe a little truth in that too. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I just think
Bueller?
that additional gameplay and gameplay options is not necessarily a bad thing. And I mean, yeah, there is some potential to, I guess, kind of shill the market by, buying something for a higher price than you're selling it for in order to transfer funds to your friends. But I don't know if we're in a position where we should be asking Frontier, or even mentioning taking stuff away from Elite Dangerous, when player-to-player economies in MMOs are, well, it's standard. It's really, really common, and you can't say that Elite Dangerous is making steps, despite it being baby stumbling, falling over your head on the coffee table steps, towards having an economy. It's just going to take a while for it to get there, and I don't think removing anything that has recently been added is the right way to do it, personally.
Yeah, I think I'm more with that, right? I don't think that removing commodities is the way to go. I think adjusting it. I was pretty surprised that you could lower things that dramatically, and I think it seems like that's probably the biggest issue here. That if you could only sell things, again, I'm making a number up here. If you sold things for 10%, 20% below its galactic average versus literally you could sell it for a credit. It seems like that. Solve is the wrong word. It lessens this argument at least. But I think I'm with you, Plater, in that I wouldn't advocate for removing it because kind of when I was asking you at start about you wanting to earn credits around it and how, I think a big part of the answer is we don't know yet, but we've got a new shovel. Let's see what we can dig with it.
This is a 6-year-old game. I don't think
Well,
we can expect it to ever have an economy.
That's, yeah.
It's a little late.
That's fair. Completely agree with that. Why don't we move on to another topic and talk about, we can get into the nitty gritty about the changes, but kind of talk about the changes that have happened this week. I'm going to kick that off a bit by basically, I'm going to say this, as I've said a couple of times, with where I've got a lot of skeptical optimism and will admit I am really, really impressed and generally very happy with the fact that we got changes that are as massive as they were. I remember on the last stream, Yamiks making the point that is and was completely valid, that when have we ever seen Frontier make drastic changes to something, and we never have. And the fact that we've seen, the upkeep costs, and again, we'll talk about the specifics in a second, but those get cut by 85.5% is just, I quite literally, when I saw the post, I verbally said, wow, as I was reading it, involuntarily couldn't believe the changes they had made. So I do personally think that right now, I want to give Frontier a lot of credit for that. I want to give them a lot of credit for the fact that they've been so, that they've worked with us in a way they've never done before, that they've been, I've had them on stream, other people have had them on stream, that they're communicating with us, and it seems listening to us in a way that they never have. Now, I want to be completely clear. I don't think we're there yet. I think there's still change that need to happen, but I think it's very impressive and that they should be credited with listening to us on this. Who wants to disagree with me? Who wants to go first?
I do.
Okay.
I'm realistically,
Go for it,
man.
pal.
I appreciate what you're saying, and on some level, it has merit. And let's always try to be positive and have great interactions with each other. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't feel like we should swoon over an abusive relationship just because they pretended to throw us a bone and brought home flowers after punching us.
That's a good point. And let me be clear.
Realistically,
I don't want to give the notion that I'm swooning, right? I know you're not. I'm just being clear, right? That I do think there should be praise here. But hey, that's a valid point, right? If it's been an abusive relationship, and just because you stopped getting punched doesn't mean it's good. So that's fair.
Oh, look, I don't even need to say anything. Thanks, Pilot.
Sorry, man.
No, it's great. Not being sarcastic. No, just continue.
No, no.
You know what? Realistically, man, you trained me here. You opened my
Perfect.
eyes.
That we should put the fleet carrier into like sleep mode and throw the crew into the cryopods and despawn the carrier in from the game after a certain amount of time. So that would probably be a bit better option.
Yeah, and that I agree. I think in a second here we'll get into some of the specifics because yeah, I absolutely have a lot of thoughts on the specifics. Plater, yeah, why don't you jump in with some specifics there, or what you were wanted to jump in on?
Yeah, so talking about the changes, I'm not sure abusive relationship's the right term to use because it kind of devalues actual abusive relationships. Number one,
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah,
I've got to say that.
Yep.
And also, and you can sigh as much as you like, but it still is like that. It's
Like it's an analogy, not an actual, whatever. It's fine. Go ahead.
Imagine if I were to say that, right? There you go.
it's
I
pretty cool.
always exaggerate shit. Anyways, we'll carry on.
But the thing is, that we've got a couple of things in front of us as option, right? Of what has happened is Frontier put the numbers out. They gave us those numbers. We all went, "Whoa, that's too high." Apart from a real small minority who went, "Well, it's not for me. It's obviously it's for people that are super rich." And it's like, well, it's also for people that have a lot more time to play the game as well. But people on average, we're not happy with the upkeep costs. Now, I did a poll throughout my community tab earlier, and I wanted to know the answer of do people think that essentially we've had an attempt at being played? Have we a much higher number than we were ever going to get, and then they're going, here you go, guys. Here's the lower number that we were always going to get.
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that a few times too.
60% of people say yes.
Wow.
There was, I know it's bigger than I was expecting.
I guess I'm just not a conspiracy theorist because I don't buy that at all.
Now, I don't agree that Frontier would do that because they don't need the bad press. That was my thought. Was like, no, they've just not done that. They've just listened to us and changed it. And then the other option was no, they don't need the bad press. And it was like 16% of people said no, they don't need the bad press. 24% were saying just flat no. And I think it's interesting that there are that many
way.
people that were that felt that way, because I think it's surprising because I say Frontier, they don't have the best understatement time. They don't have the best PR, do they? When it comes to putting out an update,
No.
They just don't. And they needed a win, and this wasn't the way to deliver it. So you've got this, did it on purpose, just completely got the numbers wrong because they thought it'd be okay, or it's they completely out of touch and don't have a freaking clue and have gone, oh god, we're totally wrong, that kind of thing. But I say, pitched out there, asked people, and came up with that. Pretty surprising stuff. The numbers now are better. They are objectively better. But there's still some changes that would need to be made, I think.
Yeah, agreed. And that's what I think we'll get into. Yamiks, if I can jump in real quick, because there's one thing I wanted to discuss earlier. I'm going to take us back just a little bit because I didn't get to chime in and I kind of wanted to when we were discussing how we all plan on using these things. And I don't know necessarily that Yamiks even got to answer that either. Or yeah, I guess you did, Yamiks. My thought was, when we go back to that just briefly is I've always stated that I just want to be able to move my fleet around, right? I want to be able to go join, my friends are up in Santu doing PvP. My friends are down in Pleiades doing Thargoid stuff. I want to be able to move around all of my ships and all of my modules all at once. The spin up time specifically was the biggest hamper for me. Now at 15 minutes, I think somebody even asked me what was my, what number would be my kind of rock bottom that I would still use it, and I did say 15 minutes. I still think that's far too long. I think that number should be flipped. I think it should be a 5-minute spin up and a 15-minute cooldown. That would be far, because when you get to the place you are, then you're going to be using it generally. So the cooldown on that side of 15 minutes isn't a big deal. By stacking it the way they did, they're making it have the biggest impact on you, and I kind of feel like that maybe was even intentional. The fact that the biggest thing that still kills me, and this is where I'm going to segue down to some of the more specifics is the limits around shipyard and outfitting storage. You know, that I've got this massive quote unquote fleet carrier that I can't store my fleet on. And while maybe you could argue that more than 40 ships is, maybe you can even call it ridiculous. I think there are a lot of us that have more than 40 ships. I'm guessing several of us in this room that are speaking right now have more than that. And the notion that I've got to have storage ships and I've got to have ships in multiple stations to keep them all separated and then when I need to use one or I've got a module that I want, I've got to transfer a ship over and get it off and then transfer that ship and deal with all this transfer shit when now I've got this massive ship that's got 25,000 quote unquote slots, but I still can't store more than 40 ships at 120 modules is just absolutely absurd to me. Will I still use it for that? Yeah. Another thing, and again, I'm going to segue into shipyard and outfitting with this. Today, I played around with, could I host Sidewinder Slaughter from one of these? I don't know if you guys noticed, but they did add the FDL and the Mamba, so you can sell those now. I don't know if that was just an oversight, but they are there now. But okay, let's see. I need to sell the ship pack that has the Sidewinder. All right, base one, you only get 25 of them. Well, that may be enough for me doing it, but I'm going to have to restock every time, so that's a big pain in the ass. So then I go through the modules, and for me to be able to sell all of the core modules, plus the different weapon types and the hull, right, the defensive systems, I can't do it. There's not enough room. Straight up, you cannot sell all of the modules or all of the ships in all of the modules because of this whole idiotic, package system, that you've got to buy 50 of these and 100 of these and 20 or whatever it might be, where I can't just say, I don't fucking want E through B rated core modules, period. Maybe D rated life support and sensors. I only want A rated power plants and distributors, for example. Nope, can't do that. That's beyond idiotic. I'm having to spend money on this. I'm having to tie up credits in it. Aside from the fact that, in my opinion, this should all be consignment selling. I've said that multiple times, and not where I have to invest in, $5 billion, $6 billion in stock just to get these basic things that I might, and a lot of them I will never sell. It just, again, they've given us the shovel, and I thought, well, it'd be interesting to take this and each week do Sidewinder Slaughter in a different location, pick different pretty spots around the bubble that I love, and we'll do, nope, can't do that. No way to do that because I can't sell, or unless I severely limit what people are allowed to, to buy and use, and why would I do that? So, Yamiks, I see that your hand is maybe raised. You want to take us on specifically? Well, again, we'll go through each of the features I'm thinking. So if you want to talk about shipyard and outfitting, why don't we go there?
Well, you missed me on the whole credit transfer, but whatever.
No, sorry. Let's go back to that. Forgive me. Go back to that then. So, no, I didn't mean to. Please go back to that then.
No, fine, whatever. Credit transfer again, whatever.
No,
right,
please.
Right. So what are we on right now? Are we decommissioning or?
Well, no. We were going general changes, but seriously, I would love to hear your thoughts on credit transfer. I did not mean to skip over that, so apologies.
Oh God, that's gonna be a rant and a half. Right, I'm gonna try and make it a very simple thing, right? So credit transfer right now with commodity market, us controlling it and whatnot else. Essentially, it's gonna allow very easy credit transfer, and yeah, you can argue that. Before that, you could just simply drop cargo and blah, 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 blah. The difference here is that the ease of credit transfer is just almost non-existent, or rather, it's super easy right now in comparison to previously, because previously you had to also regulate the amount that you dispose of in one go, because the game, deletes the cargo that is out in the wild if it's too much, and so on and so forth. So the credit transfer ease has become like no other before, and blah 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 blah. But if we're talking about credit transfer in general, there are two sides of this, and obviously one is the player side, which is always positive. Of course, sure, we need credit transfer because hey, I can pull in my friend and give him all the credits, and he doesn't need to grind. And especially when we're talking about Elite Dangerous, we basically can just skip the grind, which no one really likes. I yet to find one person that truly honestly likes to just go out there and do the monotonous best credit making thing even knowing the best credit making thing, for hours on end, we all want to, change up the thing. So yeah, from player perspective, yeah, we want that in Elite Dangerous. But from the other hand, in a normal game, a game designer designs a game in a way that it would introduce the player from the start to finish with new mechanics and new ways to play games. The game itself introduce very interesting things, and especially if the game has a story, skipping over some of it would be a horrible thing indeed. So from that perfect game perspective, it shouldn't be allowed, clearly.
But there is no story
even if
here.
you
Right.
Oh,
I think that's the point. Yeah.
again, Elite Dangerous. Let's think that this is not Elite Dangerous. If it's just a game, a normal game that doesn't have a name, doesn't have a thing, it's just an imaginary game, right? You wouldn't want to have a way to skip or allow your players to skip crucial parts of your game. In Elite Dangerous, as a matter of fact, there is this this wonderful thing called Rules of Elite. The list of sort of unspoken things that you should or should not do. Like the rule number 1, don't fly without rebuy. And the game is pretty decent at, sort of introducing you to the concept of dying and whatnot else from time to time. So, yeah, that is a crucial thing that a lot of people need to learn. And, a new player skipping over that will basically just blame the game for being basically garbage if he dies and doesn't understand why. So credit transfer would basically prevent player from learning that properly, or in the intended way. Now, its intended way of teaching the player is horrible, and that needs to change immediately. But that's a different topic altogether. So
Yeah, I think we've deviated quite a little bit here. So.
Yeah.
so from player perspective, yeah, it's good, but that ignores the actual design of the game. And frankly, I must more agree about the credit. The game design rather than the player's own selfish needs.
Yeah.
So
And you know
that's
what?
my
I have to.
take. Anyways.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Yamiks. Like you said, that we're not skipping, since it's not gameplay, right? It's essentially akin to just giving your friend a much bigger and stronger shovel right off the bat versus having them quote unquote skip the game. I think there's personally something.
Anyways, right. So the next topic's right. So the general changes. Basically, you all talked about the basic value changes and blah blah blah. That look at that, upkeep is reduced, and look at that, some of these things are depriced and whatnot else, and so on and so forth. But to me, it's all like, well, these doesn't matter. The price, the amount, doesn't matter. It all is just placating to just some pressure. That's about it. And because there are some bigger numbers, so what? It doesn't change the gameplay loop. It's still the same. Nothing's changed. The upkeep's still there. It's designed to be abusive. The whole gameplay loop of just losing cash if you don't play, it's still there. The fucking game is abusing you or attempting to make you a fucking frequent player, even though you've played it long enough to already get the fucking thing. So yeah, it's just, well, hey, you have to pay slightly less. It's still a ticking time bomb.
Realistically, I kind of agree with you. I tried to jump ahead of that in the opening thing of what is this for?
Yeah.
Yes, you still have we get harder graphics now. We get a lower upkeep price, even though it doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Realistically, what I wanted from these was the ability to take people and throw them out into the void and make micro bubbles and set up our own little player-run universe and galaxy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they've been crippled enough that they're not really even useful for that. So what the hell is this for?
Okay, if I can, let me ask a question to that exact point, Pilot. What do you think what would need to change as it is right now in your mind to achieve the goal that you just stated? Do you know? I mean, I'm not being a smartass here, right? But do you
Actually? Yes.
Okay, great. I'd love to hear.
I do know. Unfortunately, it's unrealistic, but I will tell you exactly what it needs to happen. You need two things: an economy and the ability to sell your own ships, or basically trade your ship to someone else or whatever. You need the ability to make to be able to manufacture the ships you want to manufacture, collect materials from players, reimburse them, manufacture, and make your own stuff that affects the universe. That's how you're going to get that. Realistically, you can have, as it stands right now, the mechanics we have in place, you can have 3 carriers go off, set up in a single system far out in the black. One of these teams is going to be focused on mining. One of these teams is going to be focused on something else, or exploration. But the missing piece there is you should have a whole carrier devoted to manufacturing. That mining one should feed the manufacturer. The manufacturer should be able to supply ships for the explorer team. And the explorer team should be able to, you understand what I'm saying here? There's supposed to be a natural loop here. It's supposed to be symbiotic. I don't know what is this for?
Well, okay, let me ask it a different way then, and then I know Yamiks, you wanted to jump in. Somebody be pretty quick with this. Are there changes like you just said? I mean, those things are, as you admitted, completely unrealistic. Certainly not going to happen now. I don't think they will ever happen. Are there things that could happen right now that would make them useful to you? Right? I mean, in other words, is there? I'm being blunt. Is there anything that could make you happy with fleet carriers?
I don't know.
Okay, that's more. No, that's you asked me. I don't know is one of the most prolific answers you can ever give. Totally fine, right? Yeah,
like I said, I need to be sold on it, and I haven't heard an answer that sells me on it at all yet.
One of the things I would say though is that's kind of a loaded question because it assumes that these will be iterated on later down the line, and history has showed us that is not necessarily
won't happen. That's yeah. And with that, since he just jumped in, let me very quickly welcome Ryan from SDC to joining us. Thanks a lot for joining, Ryan. If you can, real quickly, tell the folks about yourself, and maybe then, if it's okay, actually do that real quick. Let's let Yamiks respond to Pilot, and then we'll go to your thoughts on some things.
Yeah. So
Right.
I'm Ryan. I used to play Elite Dangerous, but I am no longer playing the game anymore. Am I going out of? I'm going out of line. Oh no, I messed up your.
Oh, it's
stream.
okay.
I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. You're not watching the channel, are you? Yeah. No worries. No worries.
I used to play the game a lot. Used to PvP a lot. Frontier's actions and development practices have put me off the game, but I still keep up with it every now and then because I have a lot of friends that play. So, and I'm very opinionated, which probably makes me fun to have.
Well, and to be clear, you also have thousands of hours, tons of experience, have moderated various groups. I mean, I think a little bit you're almost selling yourself short, if you ask me, to folks that might not know your full history with the game. How long has it been since?
Fucking time in this game.
Yeah, how long has it been since you played? Since you were active? 3 months, 6 months?
My last login was February 1st, and that was to see if someone else was still banned in the game.
Okay.
I'd say probably the last time.
Sorry, I know who that is.
I'd say
Sorry.
No, you're good. Probably the last time that I played the game, like for fun, would have been August of last year. Maybe longer. I think I logged in for a couple of PvP fights.
Okay.
In like August, but regularly, I don't know that I've played regularly for probably approaching 2 years.
Okay. Got it. I didn't realize it had been quite that long. So, okay, let's get back to where we were, just so we don't lose the train too badly here. Yamiks, why don't we go back to what Pilot was saying? You wanted to respond to that?
Right. Pilot was basically going on about purpose of the fleet carriers, and yeah, that is an important thing and whatnot else, and sure. But the thing is with me, right? The fleet carriers are such a massive thing, and such a end game thing that really, okay, it'd be nice if they, maybe did something as well, but. When the base on which you build that potentially good thing is still horrible, well, no thanks. That's my approach, and at this point I'm talking about the upkeep and the commissioning issues and a few other things. So yeah, as long as those are still in there, no matter how much good shit you put on it, it's still basically trying to mask the, rather malicious intent of it. That's just my couple of things.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm going to kick it to Plater if I can. Plater, do you want to talk about shipyard outfitting stuff? I know you mentioned early on, your comment about obviously not being able to make credits with shipyard and outfitting, and I think that's very clear. Did you want to talk about that? Do you want to take it to one of the other subjects? Should we go to decommissioning? Should we go to upkeep? What do you think?
I'll just go around quickly on the on shipyards and outfitting.
Okay.
Bung them together, and I'll keep it quick. But a shipyard should be as standard. The ability to swap ships and have your fleet on your fleet carrier
fucking lootly, yes. Sorry.
Should be a standard. That's something that simply is missing, and I don't see why you're having to pay so much up front in order to do that. You're buying a fleet carrier. You're not buying a slab of concrete. You're buying something where it drops down and it's got lots of space for lots of ships. Like, why can't you just have more of them on there?
It's like you're
even
buying
from a lore perspective, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're buying a car dealership that then doesn't have any cars in it, or even a garage for you to park your car. Right? Yeah. I completely agree.
You should have the option. So for me, that's quite a particular one that it should have. And then if you want to, then you buy stock, and then that's when you start paying, through the nose for it. And even then, you should have the flexibility to pick which ships exactly you want. If I want to sell 5 Anacondas and nothing else on my fleet carrier, I should be able to, because it's my carrier, it's my shipyard. I choose what stock I've got. Same way if you own a shop. If you own a shop and you decide that all you want to sell is toilet paper, in the current climate, you're going to make a fortune. Same way if you were to park up a Hutton Orbital just selling Anacondas, I imagine people would buy them eventually.
That would be great, actually. That'd be so...
it's that kind of thing, but you've got to have them purchasable at discount so you can sell them to make a profit. That's shipyard. Outfitting, exactly the same thing. Let me pick and choose exactly what I would like. I'm with you on that one.
Exactly.
I shouldn't have to...
I agree totally.
I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to buy all of these fuel scoops. Like, why am I having to spend $6 billion on it to stock, in particular, some fuel scoops that I want? On my stream, someone just got blown off my carrier, and we're currently I think 1,500 light years away from the bubble, in a Corvette. Good on them. Hilarious. Sorry.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, it's that kind of thing. I don't think we should be limited in that way. All you just need additional buttons you click on, and then click purchase. That's it.
Yeah. Plater, can I ask
the stock is recorded
a quick question about shipyard? Because I think you confirmed this for me last week, that it's a bug that you're not respawning on your your carrier. Is that, number one, was that correct? That was a bug? Number two, do we know if that's been addressed?
I don't know if it's been fixed yet, but it was one of the... Actually, someone has just respawned on the pad at my carrier, so I think that answers the question. But then again, we're nowhere near another shipyard.
Yeah,
so
and you know what? I was just checking the system I'm in. Let me make sure it has shipyards, and I'll just test it myself right now.
But like I say, the whole kind of they were 2 bugs that were initially spoken about by Frontier, and they put it on the forum when the beta launched, and it was the Super Cruise timer, and it was the not respawning on the carrier when you should.
Super Cruise timer, in that, like, your deceleration timer.
It was way off. Yeah.
And that one does seem to be fixed. I just noticed that. I'm showing. I don't know if anybody else, if Yamiks or Plater, are in a system with a lot of carriers. I'm in Skegio, one of the carrier, the systems that has fleet management, and the system map is just so ridiculous looking because of this. It is just. It's just so horribly designed that they did it this way, and then it looks the way that it looks. Sorry, I just had to comment on that real quick.
That's why we need upkeeping, so to delete these things.
Well,
we need to delete
okay.
these things.
So
we need to delete these things from servers that can't handle shit.
So Yamiks, that's a great segue. Actually, let's go to Molin real quick, because he was saying, and I don't know if you want to jump in, Molin, that you were agreeing with Plater about the shipyard and modules. Do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, sure. I think the shipyard and the outfitting, those should be standard, unless you want to sell stuff like ships and outfitting. So you should be able to store ships in your carrier, because it is a carrier. It's in the name, and there's modules. But if you want to sell them, I think you should be able to buy them just to sell it if you want to do that. But as a standard, I think it should just be shipyard and outfitting for yourself, not others.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could argue that it shouldn't have come. Again, that's one of those things I said earlier on. There's going to be these gotchas that we're not going to expect that are going to make them less useful, and that's certainly one of them. Who would have ever imagined that that would be the case, right? That we wouldn't be able to just store ships and modules on it, right? Yamiks, and somebody else wants to chime on this. Yamiks, why don't you? That was a bit of a decent segue there a second ago. Why don't you segue us to decommissioning, upkeep costs? Like, why don't we get into that? If you want.
Right. Where to begin, though? Right. So the changes, I suppose we could just go with a refresher there. So developers did go out and say that we're going to reduce the upkeeping by about, what was it, 85%. Something. The total upkeeping once you got everything installed and so on and so forth. And let's see what else. The base upkeep of the megaship, a fleet carrier, whatever the difference anyways, would be cut by 50%. So, instead of completely empty megaship that you have to upkeep for 10 million, you have a completely empty megaship that you have to upkeep for 5 million. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. As for decommissioning, it had no changes because, I guess I did a relatively poor job at highlighting that in my videos, or everyone not really noticing or something. I don't know. But right now I would be as well. Now the thing is, a lot of people, to say that one or the other should be, taken out. But the thing is, both of them work together. Upkeeping and decommissioning are part of the same game loop. See, decommissioning is acting as the deterrent for you getting out of this loop. Essentially, there's this wonderful term called sunk cost, a term that Star Citizen fans might be very familiar with. But essentially, the more money you spend into something, the easier it gets to justify further spending on it. And because fleet carriers have basically not only one roadblock or defense against stopping to pay for the upkeep, but there are two of them, as a matter of fact. One being the depreciation over 3 months, losing ever increasingly more cash out of your megaship's potential selling value. And the other one is the further you are from a place that sells fleet carriers, the less cash you get back as well. And again, we are not giving any information about that specific part. I did the testing and came to conclusion that for every light year you lose 1 million. So you can yourselves calculate how disgusting that gets. And that is basically designed to make you rethink selling the megaship. And the same thing goes with decommissioning depreciation, right? After 3 months, you see that, I only will get back $1.5 billion. Oh, well, instead of, and I need some money, but it's $1.5 billion, and that's like
might
nothing.
as well let it run down the clock.
Yeah, might as well just pay that extra 100 for this week, and another week, and another week, and another week, and so on, and so on, and so forth. And it has this stupid defense in there, and wonderful, isn't it? So that's roadblock number one, and the other one is obviously the distance, right? The further you are from the selling point, the less cash you get. And this defense works as basically an annoyance. Well, you want to get some money back, even if you want to sell it for very little cash. Well, you must do this one annoying thing to get back the cash. You need to travel back to the nearest selling point, And, well, let's be honest, a lot of us will most likely take out the carriers to some system. Some of us will need maybe to make, one jump. Maybe 2 jumps at best, right? And so on and so forth. But it's still something to do, right? You need to buy fuel and what else. And again, it's a little annoyance, but it's still annoyance. And this is exceedingly more horrible for explorers, of course, because, of course, fuck explorers, because the game doesn't seem to even enjoy having those people who don't grind their game. Well, fuck them. But that's beside the point. There, you see. And then comes the upkeep, right? That's the depreciation. It's there to discourage people or make them rethink selling the things and keep them within that upkeep loop, right? So essentially you have this upkeep loop, which is again well, it's not large, especially today, right? They decrease the amounts of upkeep. It's so much better, right? It's so much better. It's amazing. Well, no, it's not. I'm being very patronizing right now. Obviously, that's my shtick. But the thing is, I just absolutely cannot stand this thing, and well, it's designed essentially to have you constantly drain your pockets. That's one of the things, but because the amount is decreased, obviously, it'll go at a lower rate, but it's still there to remind you, as I usually say, the red letter media quote, your brain, or you might have not noticed it, but your brain did. Your brain subconsciously remembers that you have something every week counting off, and you have to pay for something. Otherwise, well, guess what? Thanks to the decommissioning depreciation value and the sunk cost fallacy, yeah, it's, you'll lose this massive amount of cash if you don't pay up. And it's so much easier to pay the longer you go, right? It's so much easier to just log in and, play for a little while. Otherwise, you lose that massive amount. And the fact that they are using this sunk cost fallacy and, of course, a few other fucking tricks on basically the people who have played Elite for the longest time to keep them grinding and playing, that sort of an end game trophy feels absolutely disgusting, and I cannot stand it. And the person who designed it can, in exegeous words from a couple of days ago, not about that person, but that quote, "Fuck you." Basically,
yeah.
To that fucking designer, that person who mandated it to be placed in the game, fuck you. There you go. That's your Yamiks rant for the day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Molin, well, I wanted to, if I could, specifically, as you mentioned a second ago about decommissioning around, a big giant fuck you to explorers. Well, we've got the head of Canonn Exploration here. Molin, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, why not putting the carrier into sleep and just throw the crew into the cryopods, and when you get back, you have to start it up again. And of course, I'm thinking we have had some discussion about if you're not online after a certain amount of time, you just despawn the carrier like 10 weeks, like they have with the decommission.
Ooh, a mothballed carrier in the middle of nowhere, and you could find it and wake it up.
Oh,
I'd love that.
Okay, I have a counter for that too, but
Yeah, I mean, if that's cool with Molin, jump in with it. Sure.
yeah, sure.
Okay, right. So basically putting off the offline decommissioning, the upkeep, right? So, okay, let's imagine this moment, right? So you're playing the game, you're paying the upkeep and all that stuff, and you're kind of happy, okay? And then you put it in, what was it? Storage. Let's just say storage, something like that. And you keep, you don't have to pay upkeep when you're not playing the game. And after months, you decide, okay, I could go back to Elite Dangerous.
And someone stole your carrier.
No, but I come back. If I come back, then I have to keep on doing this upkeep. Oh God, I don't want to do this. Why? And then the person decides, fuck it, I'm not gonna play. See, the thing about upkeep is, it's not the important part that every week you have to pay. It's the important part is that you have to pay no matter if you play the game or not. That is the key here. Because otherwise, it would only bring negative ideas and no one would like to come back. You would know that, okay, my account is still fine and it's in no risk of losing if I don't play the game. But upkeep is designed specifically to keep you returning with a threat, with a gun to your head, if you will.
If
Oh
I
my
could,
God, I have the answer.
Well,
I have the answer. You asked me before what it would need to happen in order for these to be good for me, that I would love it and I
Yeah.
would like everything about it. That would be it. If somebody mothballs their carrier
And
and,
you could
I
steal
find
it
it
in
out in
some
the
way?
dark and I could steal it and sell it, I would be in love.
I think that'd be kind of
That'd
cool.
keep me going.
Let me
Yeah,
let me
man.
just address
even worse.
Let me
That
address.
would be even worse than the current
Well,
upkeep.
it kind of would be. Let me address something I've seen in my chat a few times as we're going this. Then I'm going to jump to Ryan, which is right now. Yes, we do. I think the new upkeep maximum is somewhere in the 15-ish million range, 17-ish million, something like that. So it's not. And I'll let everybody address this as we go through. For me personally, it's not about that number because yeah, you could certainly argue that I can earn that in a few hours of mining. Big fucking deal. It's not that much, and that's what everybody's going to do. It's the notion, and specifically what we're talking about here. And again, I'll let everybody chime in on decommissioning, right? And how absolute bullshit that mechanic is. The upkeep cost isn't around the fact that it's a number and that it's not very high. It's about the fucking fact that it's here in the first goddamn place, right? The fact that there's this negative reinforcing mechanic that we constantly have to do, and that there's essentially no way, maybe we're closer now with as low as that's gotten, we'll have to see, that there's no real way for the carrier to earn its own upkeep. I know me personally, I don't understand why it's not just a percentage of what your NPC earns, like our current NPCs work. I've made the analogy that it's much like the show Firefly and Serenity, right? Mal doesn't pay his crew unless he gets paid, right? Nobody eats unless everybody eats. So if the carrier's not making money, nobody on the carrier is making money. So only are those people getting paid if you're getting paid. They're not a sunk cost. With that, sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent there. I've just seen that comment a lot in my comments, and I just wanted to address that real quick. Ryan, let me kick it back to you, buddy.
Yep. So, where to begin? Upkeep is and decommissioning is probably the clearest sign of an abusive mechanic that could possibly exist. Aside from, as someone commented on Reddit,
Pure pay to win, of course, you know.
yeah, FDev literally hardwiring your mouse to give you an electric shock if you're not in game for longer than an hour a day.
Even then, there would be somebody who's into it. Oh my.
Oh God, I know, with this fucking community. Oh, this is on stream, right? Or this is, just no, but what I would say is, like, if what I've seen people reacting to the lowering of upkeep costs, and people are always saying, oh well, you know, like you said, you just have to mine for an hour or so and you'll have your upkeep. What's the big deal?
It's an excuse.
Yeah, well, like, if you're gonna have upkeep costs and then you're gonna make it so that all you have to do to avoid it is an hour of work, what the fuck is the point of having upkeep costs?
Yes.
It doesn't like, it's almost self-defeating. Like, if there isn't a method for the carrier to help earn its upkeep, right? If there's no way, somehow the technology isn't there yet, right? To allow the carrier to help earn money to save itself, then why even have them?
Because to your point, Ryan, what we're going to do is we're just going to, if you buy one, you're going to take whatever it costs for a year's worth of upkeep cost, whatever that number is. You're just going to bankroll it in the thing, and essentially that's just part of the base cost of it. So to your point, yeah, why the fuck is it there? Right? I mean, I can agree, you know, I don't want to speak for Vindicator, but I know he said this a few times in our chat that, you know, there should be some sort of upkeep. I've seen this argument because, you know, a ship like this would take upkeep. If you want to go from a lore perspective, it needs maintenance. It needs things like that. But again, why is that not paid when I get paid? Why is that not coming out of a percentage of what I get paid, just like current? And I'm not necessarily saying that's a great mechanic either, but from an argument perspective, if it's going to be one way or another, I don't understand why it's a sunk cost. Ryan, did I cut you off, or should we move on to the pilot? I know he had his
No,
hand raised.
he blue screened. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, damn. Okay. I just see that now. Okay. So we'll have Ryan back in a second. So pilot, yeah, jump in with your thoughts then.
I actually wanted to go in a different direction. Can you open up your galaxy map for a second?
Me? Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Can you see where other fleet carriers are parked on the galaxy map?
I don't think so.
No, you cannot.
No,
yeah.
you can't. if you were to
You can see it
turn
in
on that-
system, but not on the Galaxy map.
I mean,
if you
there
were
is
to
a,
turn on the
a tab
yeah, if you were to turn on the
that's carriers.
filter.
Yeah,
Sorry,
hold on,
go
hold
ahead.
it. Yeah, Plater, what was that?
I'll just say, yeah. I mean, there is a filter under the map config where you
Under
go down.
which
It says
one?
carriers, and then it's got its own tab. It's got its own section. So at the very bottom under trade, which
Under
why isn't
trade.
this alphabetical? Seriously.
Jesus Christ.
Oh wait, you
So,
mean like if
yeah,
I'm on Visited
carriers.
Stars?
Yeah, so you go into map, and then go into where
Carriers.
you
Oh,
select the
for
map type,
fuck's sakes.
and it's there.
Wait, I'm still
Mm-hmm.
not seeing it. Maybe I'm blind. Oh,
I see it.
wait, under where?
So you know where you'd normally change if you're looking at the allegiance, commodity, services, civilization.
Right.
in order
Which
to
one do
filter.
I want to be on? Does it matter?
At the very bottom, carriers.
I don't have
Oh,
that.
Jesus Christ.
Unless I'm missing it. So wait, hold on. Let's clarify. I'm on the tab that gives realistic map and power play, right? And
Yeah,
I can
click on
choose.
map.
Okay. So I've got at the very top map configuration, right? I've got
And
none,
then-
allegiance, commodity, services, civilization, government, economy, state, security, star class, visited stars.
So you've got visitor stars, cartographic data, trade data, carriers.
Oh,
I
okay. You
actually
mean in
put
the other section?
Little
a section at the
mini
bottom.
dots for fleet carriers. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, this fixes everything.
still not seeing it. Either I'm blind or. Which one are you filtered
agree,
by?
you're
Visited
blind.
stars or star class? Which one are you on? Does it matter?
God.
You
No,
its carrier has its own filter.
where you
Plater,
have the
you got to
star
explain it,
class.
man.
Jesus
Alright.
Christ. Where you have the star class, open that drop-down menu.
Right. So
And
I've got
there.
And then scroll down to the bottom.
okay, visited star. I've got star class, visited stars, and that's it.
Lower. Oh, wait, no, that's slightly higher.
I mean, am I somebody scream at me? Am I blind? Again, all right, let's be very clear. So that drop down menu at the very top, view map configuration. You pull that down, you've got none, allegiance, commodity. We're talking about that list, correct?
Yeah.
The very
Yes,
last
not
thing, I have
very
star
bottom for me.
class. I have star class,
What the
and
hell?
visited stars is the last thing on the list for me.
Are you in beta? No, wait, you are
Wait,
in beta.
I'm in
What
beta.
the
Of course he's in beta. He's on the
Do you,
carrier.
Yeah.
do you have
See-
cartographic data underneath in the list at all?
No. Again, I'll read you my
Trade
whole
data?
list. None,
I have the
allegiance,
same thing
commodities,
as Plater.
services.
What the fuck?
Let me bring up your stream real quick, Plater. Have you got it on your stream?
Yeah, I'll remove.
Oh, hang on.
The overlay.
There is an answer, and one of my mods has just mentioned it. You can only see that when you're docked.
Oh,
Which
is that
is
what? Which
stupid,
I'm
by the
not.
way.
Are
Which
you
I'm not.
fucking? Oh,
So,
Okay.
that's a fix,
that's why-
folks.
Wow.
So-
All right.
Look, all right, anyway.
That's
was
not
the
good.
point.
But you
That was the
can.
point I wanted to bring up is that let's say you are an explorer and you've brought your carrier out to the middle of nowhere and you set yourself up as a gas station, and you know you're part of a convoy line from here to Colonia or whatever.
That's right. How do you,
If someone doesn't know specifically where you are and what system you're in, they're not going to find you.
there it is. I see it now. Yes, it's because I'm not docked.
What you have to be
is
docked.
ridiculous.
Wow,
out of
so
fleet
to
carrier
your
to
point,
go
pilot-
find another one.
Yep. To your point, if you're just out in space looking for one, you don't have that.
It's the exact time you need to be able to
Exactly.
fit in there.
Exactly.
When you're
Well,
out
look,
of
I
space,
love it.
you know?
This goes to the whole like
Jesus.
things like material traders don't show up unless you've actually been to that system first, right? Again, you get a phone book that's empty until you go visit things and figure it out, right? So ridiculous.
Folks, if any indie developer is looking, this is top-notch development. You must emulate this. And I'm being very sarcastic right now.
Wow. So at least I wasn't completely blind. I was like, wait a minute, I know I'm not. What am I missing?
it was
right.
So you
Okay.
can't actually see the carriers that you would like to visit on your way out in nowhere.
Unless you've got to do that ahead of time. So once you're out there, yeah.
Basically,
bookmark
get
it.
fucked, scrub.
Wow. Now I do think this is. Look, by the way, I don't think
beta
this.
and a bug.
I don't know that this
beta
was in the
bug.
last, if this was in the last build or not, but this is nice, right? It is good that this exists, this part of it. But again, it's like so many things. It's so half-assed.
It's useless.
Exactly. It's useless.
I guarantee you it's not a bug.
Really, what you
I agree with you.
need
I
is
agree
the
with you, it's
fact
not a bug.
You need a real-time information on what is available on the fleet carriers, fucking commodities, and as well as shipyard, and of course outfitting. Otherwise, no one's gonna go there. But will that tool be implemented? Probably not.
No, wait, hold on a second. There is a workaround. Now this one is a bug, probably, but
Well,
maybe not.
assuming,
If you store something on someone else's carrier,
Right.
you will always be
Yeah.
able to find them.
Yeah, because your ship, it would show your stored ship. That's what
That's
you're
a
saying, right?
tracking mechanism, by the
Yeah.
way.
That's
Well,
a tracking mechanism.
Well, you remember
Yeah, exactly.
we did that back in the day before, like early on, where you would just keep a ship. I think that was pre-bookmarks, or at some point I remember we would buy ships and store them
Oh,
just so we
Jesus
could,
Christ, you
so
did
we'd have
that?
track. Oh yeah, I mean I didn't do it much, but I did do that. Yeah, Mullins even saying in chat, Sidewinder bookmarks all over again, and exactly right. So let's get back. Sorry for the tangent, everybody. Let's get back to where we were. I think Pilot, were you up next? Or Plater, had you finished kind of your thoughts? Where were we in the queue? Forgive me.
Oh, I just wanted to bring up this thing. Go ahead, Plater.
Okay. I was going to talk about decommissioning and
Great.
upkeep, wasn't I? I think that's what I said.
Yeah. I think that's where we were.
Right. Decommissioning. I agree. Carriers should not be decommissioned. I think there should be a retrievable mothball type thing. So if they do need cleaning because of server reasons or server load or whatever, just move them and then have them somewhere where you can go and collect them. Or something where you can be like, I'm back now, I'm recalling my carrier, staff, you rehired. You do that, click it, fine. If it's different people in the little menu that says who's running what, it doesn't matter. So just click refresh and pick a new person. But they shouldn't take it away and give you a crap amount of money back. It either needs to be if they're going to take it away, they give you everything back, full value, everything that you've got. Yeah. Oh yeah, Max. I did mean if that was the excuse being used.
Yeah. Just
I don't actually know if it's true. I don't know enough about servers. I don't know enough about Frontier
unless they're
servers.
running on Raspberry Pi or something, then we have bigger issues than that.
But I just think that it's it needs to be retrievable, or you get everything you have put into it back.
Oh, absolutely. The whole
I think with the decon,
yes,
it has to be like that. Upkeep, I am not adverse to, because you can preload, and I mean, from a point of view, I guess like most activities that I carry out in the game will involve getting credits, generally, unless it's just messing around, blowing each other up, and I guess I don't have an issue with that because it is now a low amount. I think it's actually 25 mil, fully outfitted for a week.
Okay,
is what
okay,
it is.
okay.
And that's it. But then you do bring up the argument of if it's so low that it's not a bother, why have it? And I think that's the first time actually someone's said that. I've gone, actually, yeah, good shout. Like if it is so low, why bother having it?
Yeah.
Either that or give them a passive income from somewhere. I don't know. That's going to be a far bigger thing that would need to be sorted out versus a numbers adjustments, which we are far more likely to get out of Frontier. A numbers adjustment. Otherwise, they have to go away and design something new, like we're seeing with the Universal Cartographics, where something new is obviously a new UI is having to be designed before it comes in the next beta in May. Because they can't just go, here you go, we turn it on, because there isn't a thing to turn on yet.
Let me just ask real
that's
quick, Plater, and maybe others can chime in too. Okay, so we all agree that upkeep just should go away, period. I don't think there's any doubt that we would all
There
pick
should
that.
not be ever a compromise.
Agreed.
Agreed.
If we're going to have it, and clearly we are, do folks feel like just a set price like it is now is better, or a percentage of your earnings is better? What do you guys think?
Do percentage. Why not? If it has to happen, do percentage. Like a fighter pilot.
I think you should
Percentage.
earn the damn thing. I think you should have to go and make alignments with a number of factions, unite them all together, and then they gift you a fleet carrier as a recognition for your service to whatever, blah 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 blah.
Pilot is actually going for quite an interesting idea that one of my chatters actually a little while back came up with. How about a triple elite reward for free?
That's it.
How about a reward for a player who actually got the triple elite? How about that? How about a fucking trophy for your big achievement? And not a fuck you in your face.
Congratulations, here's something cool to play with. That's not necessarily game-changing or totally useful, but it can do some stuff and let you carry your fleet around, or at least part of it. How about that?
Yeah.
It's a hard disagree for me.
Okay, right. Yeah, please jump in. Yeah. Again, assuming that we have to have some sort of upkeep, right? Like we all agree that it should go away, but if it's going to be there, what do you feel like is the better mechanic?
I mean, I just don't agree with the premise. Like it, like I don't know. It doesn't seem
No,
like
I mean, sure.
Yeah, we're all there
completely.
with. Yeah, we're all
There
there.
will ever be a compromise.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm
Yeah.
not accepting anything else.
Right, right. But if there's going to be a
Yeah.
compromise, what do you feel like is the right way to do it?
A big fuck
I
you to
would
them.
say- yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You decommission my ship, and I. get to
oh,
throw
sorry,
brick
sorry,
through a
not
window.
decommissioning. No. Specifically about paying upkeep
Oh.
costs. Decommissioning,
Upkeep?
absolutely,
Oh no,
there is.
one credit per year. I think is fair.
Okay.
One credit per year. What do you guys think? Oh, I mean, like if it's gonna happen, it should be in game time. It should be in game time, and I would say that if I don't know, I just don't agree with the concept at all. So I mean, even spitballing about it just kind of feels wrong. truth
Yeah.
be
Okay.
told.
Yeah. Totally fair. Now, what you were going to go to? Let's finish out decommissioning. I mean, Jesus, I need to put up a simple poll for this. Does anybody think decommissioning is a good idea? In fact, I'm going to do that right now because I haven't asked that one yet.
Let me save you some time.
There are a few folks. I
97%. 97% no, it's not a good mechanic. And I would say probably 2% would say yes, it's a good mechanic, and then 1% would be towing the line in between. Yeah, I don't really like it, but I could see. But it's universally no. It's a horrible mechanic.
Decommissioning is there because they don't want the universe littered with carriers. Which if
don't
he pulls up his
bullshit
system,
argument.
Yeah,
That's
I
no,
agree.
hold on,
Argument.
hold on a minute. If he pulls up his system map, this map looks terrible because there's so many carriers.
Which
sitting
That
here.
should be done in a different way. Yeah, clearly.
But the way I would want to do it is the way I mentioned before. Instead of a decommissioning mechanic, a mothball mechanic, and then someone can steal your carrier and sell it. Let us be the maintenance that you're trying to automate that everyone hates.
It'd be interesting piracy, wouldn't it?
I mean,
Yes.
so
It would add
look,
gameplay too. I mean,
If if we're talking about adding interesting gameplay, I think we all know that FDev is not in that business. Like, we wouldn't be having this conversation if they were, right? Everyone would be happy with the game.
I think we'd all have a lot more subscribers.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so, I mean, could you imagine the forum dad rage if you could steal a carrier? I mean, of course, that would be incredible, and that's all I would do. Like, when fleet carriers were announced,
All I would do.
when fleet carriers were announced, I go, if there's a way to kill them, it's the only thing I will do in game. If there was a way to kill them, it's all I would do. It's all I would ever do is go and kill carriers, right? And there's not even a question about it. That's literally all I would do. But FDev is, like, simultaneously wants, so it's a weird situation. It's a weird community that we have, right? Where people are, I would say, probably the most risk-averse gaming community that I've ever been a part of. If there's any risk of anything, people will lose their fucking minds, right?
My simulator. No.
Well, it's like, you guys remember when they gave
My
the AI
offline game. What?
when they did the AI buff, right? And I'm not talking about when,
Yeah, it happened a little while back. Yeah.
when I'm not talking about when the NPCs had PA multi cannons, right? Which is coincidentally the last time I've died to an NPC. Like, they trained the AI to react more like players, where if you dropped an AI ship to a certain health level, they would fuck off and they would high wake away from you, just like a person would, right? And then no one could secure kills, or they would start to focus you, and if you weren't pit managing, they would really punish the shit out of you, right? And they would reverse ski you to range tank, right? They would fuck off when their shields went down, right? And it made it really hard for people that aren't good at combat to secure kills, and specifically to not be killed. Because if an NPC is reacting that way to you, you're probably not pit managing the way that you needed to anyways, and they would start to the the damage curve would start to move out of your favor and towards the NPC, unfortunately, right? But think about all the pushback that the community has given when we talk about having NPCs actually be engineered, right? Like, could you imagine what would happen if we had NPCs that like an elite NPC, an elite FDL that was engineered following basically a PvP fit FDL, and they could actually land PA shots, or they could actually land they would
Well, I was
module
going to say, and to
snipe
be
you
clear,
with
there
super
are
pen rail.
engineered NPCs now in rare places, but I get your point, right? Like they're not
The
going to do what
pirate
you just
sources
said. Yeah,
and
the
the
pirate
beacon.
activity beacons have them, but to your main point, which is they're not running the PvP builds we are. They don't fly with the skill that we have, but they do use phasing weapons. They do use. I mean, you can go up against some pretty fucking tough engineered NPCs now, right? Just to be clear, because I don't know that you've played those yet since you have been away for a while. It doesn't negate your argument. I just want to be clear because I'm sure somebody's going to say, wait a minute, they do exist. Do we want to move on? Plater, did you want to add anything else with decommissioning? Anybody else want to touch on this again before we...
Said my bit on that.
Yeah, no, please.
No, I said it. Don't do it.
Okay,
That's it.
cool.
That's all I wanted to say. It was like, I don't think you
just
should be there.
let me do a
Mothball
closing
it.
thought.
Let us call
Please, go ahead, Ryan.
Decommissioning is a universally bad idea, and you should not have to log in. There shouldn't be any upkeep costs to use to decommission you to begin with. And if there are other issues, resolve them with gameplay mechanics, not with what is essentially a punitive measure to get you to continue logging into the game when you otherwise wouldn't, just so
To
that
buff their spreadsheets of player engagement.
it's just dumb. It's an abusive mechanic, and it should not exist. Full stop.
Let me say one last thing. Now we got 66 votes, so this is in no way scientific. I'm usually getting around 3,000 or 4,000 to poll, so we'll see what I get at the end. With 66 people voting,
messages also exist, but
exactly 82% no, 2% don't care, 17% yes. You should have to work to keep it, and yes, there should be decommissioning. I'm hoping that that's a lot of people trolling right now. Again, with only 66 votes, that's far from scientific, but I did want to share that. If others, I'll post the link in one more time.
it's
If others-
anecdotal.
It is very anecdotal, absolutely. But
It's not often that someone has a wrong opinion, but this is one of those rare situations.
yeah,
Hey, you want to be a slave? Well, do I have a game for you?
It's just like if those people are for real, I just think that
there's something they don't understand.
There's something they don't understand, or they currently play the game a lot and can't see a scenario where they wouldn't play the game a lot.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, man, that day will come. It comes for everybody. It will come.
We've played too much.
Yeah, I
right,
definitely played way too much. I'm way over 2,000 hours. I couldn't even tell you where I'm at. I think I'm at, I don't know how many weeks I am in game. I would log in, but I don't want to.
No, yeah, you don't want to reset your timer.
Achievement.
And you know what? I think probably my gut says that Plater and I might be the holdouts that would play this the absolute longest to the end. And yeah, there'll be a time that we stop playing the game. I mean, there'll be a time the game ends, basically, right? Where there's no new. I was going to say there's no new content, but that's not very different than it is now, is it?
The game truly ended when engineers came. So.
And
that's when it killed my game.
Yeah. Why don't we move on to, there's only a couple more things. I think there's two primary issues we haven't talked about yet in this, jumping and cartography. Do you guys want to chat about those briefly? The changes to jumping. I mean, I'll just kick it off real quick in saying that I'm very happy that they changed it to, 15 minutes spool up, 5-minute cooldown. That is, obviously dramatically better than the ridiculous, hour and hour. However, I think I even made this point either before the stream or maybe just a little bit ago that I think it's completely backwards. I think there should be the 5-minute spin up and the 15-minute cooldown, because the cooldown is obviously the less impactful of the two, because generally you get somewhere and then you're going to be doing something there depending on how you're using your carrier. And this is certainly for me personally, is, you know, when I get to where it is, that's when I want to be able to play. So I don't care about a 15-minute cooldown or even a 30-minute cooldown. There's no impact there, but it being on the front loaded at the spin up time absolutely impacts me. And 15 minutes seems so arbitrary because it's short. It's so short that you can't do anything else, you know, because, all right, so what am I going to do for 15 minutes in Elite? Basically, I now have got to sit and wait for 15 minutes and essentially do nothing, but it's also long enough that it's kind of this double-edged sword, right? It's both too short and too long at the same time, if that makes any sense. So
it's almost like the person that designed it doesn't play the fucking game. Hot take.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Anybody else
Where-
want to chime in on jumping before? Does anybody disagree with
I
that?
guess a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Jumping
I
was-
disagree.
go
So,
ahead.
no, pilot, go for it.
I was going to say that realistically, I'm happy that they've given it a little bit more jumponium, you know, between refills. But
What
meh.
did they change there? Because I don't think I realized that.
They doubled it. You can make 4 jumps instead of 2,
At least
Oh.
double that.
Okay. Okay.
which is nice.
Now,
Yeah.
how did they double it?
So-
Did they double it in terms of we have 2,000 to store, or it
Efficiency
takes
of the fuel.
It's okay.
It's
So it's
efficiency, right.
twice as efficient now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I've not
So,
seen that yet.
I
I'll be
mean, I'm
honest.
happy about that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll be happy about that. But I mean, I like the fact that they finally gave a way for explorers to survive out there, you know, and give them the ability to sell cartographics, to earn the money, to keep the thing running. And because honestly, I thought that was the whole point of the thing in the first place, was just to send them out into the void and, you know, have more of a population across the galaxy. But I still don't think it's enough. I think that, you know, realistically, our current explorers are used to going tens and hundreds of thousands of light years without turning in data. So there's going to be one carrier out there who's going to be able to, you know, get the cell, and they'll make a little bit of money and be able to fuel their own costs for another month. But everyone else is kind of hosed.
Well, and there's no reason for people to turn in more often, because exploration is essential. There's no danger, right? Unless you're
there's
dumb.
a little bit.
No,
Yeah.
I mean it's all self-inflicted.
Yeah, it's all
Right.
definitely you get bored, man. It's the trucker syndrome. You're staring at the road long enough, eventually you fall asleep. All of a sudden, your head front in front of a star.
Well,
It
and not
happens.
even, and the thing is, like, it's not even that, because to really fuck yourself, you would have to do that multiple times, right? But like did you guys play when black holes were actually dangerous?
yes.
When
yes.
No.
black holes could actually kill
I
you?
don't think I did.
Yeah, when they would overheat
No.
you like a star does.
Yep.
Wait, yes. Yeah.
So why do you think that? Someone take a guess. You only need
Explorers killed themselves.
one. Shocker, right? Like if there was actual danger to exploring, then yeah, right? Okay, a carrier might have some use, but it's the least risk. It's the least
I mean,
risky activity.
the
you can
most
pretty much do.
dangerous thing in the universe, arguably,
Can't kill you.
can't kill you. Now, Mullen did just say in chat that Sag-A can kill you, and I actually didn't realize that, if that's true.
I don't think that is. I've
Yeah,
been there
that's
recently.
not
No,
true.
I've tried it.
That's not true.
I've tried it.
Because think about it like this, right? Do you think FDev is the kind of company to have specific black holes be able to kill you and not? No. They can all either kill you or they can't kill
That
you.
would surprise me too, I have to admit. Right? I haven't tested it, Mullen. If you've tested it recently, I would defer to that, but I didn't think that was the case. Let's continue with this. I know Plater and Yamiks still wanted to maybe chime in on jumping. Plater, did you have something to share?
Yeah, I think having the longer spin up time is fine, and having the shorter cooldown time. And the reason why I think that is because it gives people time to get to your carrier. If you're going to be like, guys, I'm jumping, let's do this. 5 minutes isn't really long enough to do that, especially if you're going to jump it somewhere where you're going to be, interacting with your player group, or there's going to be a group of you. It gives you a little bit more time, and then the 5 minutes. It's if you want to jump more than once, then it doesn't make a difference which end the cooldown or spin up time is on. And that's the thing, people may want to jump more than once.
Oh, I want to.
So
I want to
it's
reply.
that. It's like I mean, I know you disagree.
Well,
because,
but yeah, no, finish.
Because you want to get there now.
No. I'm finish. But I definitely do want to chime
I
in.
just think so it's either you arrange your fun 50 minutes beforehand for people to get to your carrier before it jumps in 5 minutes time, or you arrange the jump and then people have time to get there and then you tell them. There's very little difference because it doesn't always take you 5 minutes to get onto a carrier unless you've planned it ahead. So that's why I'm thinking that whole planning ahead thing and planning your fun. I mean, sometimes if you've got a conflict zone to get to, it will take you 15 minutes to get there. It can take you a little bit of time. I think it's all right to have that little bit that way. I just think it's a spin up time should be longer than a cooldown time because if you wanted to put your roleplay out on, you could go. It's got time to plot the jump. You've got to make sure everything's secured. I mean, planes spend longer taking off than they do landing. God, that's an unqualified statement to make. Someone tell me I'm wrong.
Planets. Planets.
It's,
you take longer on a planet to land, but yeah.
It's like I say. It takes longer for you to take off and planning than it does coming into land.
So
I just think it's all right.
I would say
50 minutes at 5 fine.
I would say that my counter is you're absolutely right if you're talking about if you're doing more than one jump, right? Obviously, it absolutely does not matter, right? If I'm jumping 10 jumps, it's 20 minutes regardless, right? So there's no difference there. I think where my counter argument would be, to your point that, make planning time for people to get on your ship and things like that. These aren't squadron carriers, right? This is my fleet carrier. And so it's very easy for me if I do want a group to come get on board, right? To hold that jump. And if I need to wait 15 minutes for everybody to get there, I just wait and then, okay, everybody's here now. And now I set up the jump for 5 minutes and let it make the jump in 5 minutes. So by front loading at 15 minutes, in my strong opinion, it adds nothing. There's no positive to it. There is only negative to it because I can wait for people to get on if I even want that, right? Again, knowing that this is not a squadron carrier. It is my personal fleet carrier. And I think that then building a game mechanic around that penalizes me who has worked and owns the ship for somebody else that is maybe going to get on the carrier when I can just take that time in the first place feels completely backwards to me. Now, as I said before, is 15 minutes enough that I can still live with it? Yeah. I mean, it now has brought it into where at an hour I absolutely wouldn't use it, and now at 15 minutes I will. But I just see no positive to that versus flipping it the other way, right? That would be the argument that I would make back, right? Yamiks or Plater, if you wanted to reply, great. Otherwise, we can move on to Yamiks.
I mean, I'd say I just think that 20-minute window that's there. It could be shifted 10 to 10. That'll be all right. I just don't think
that'd be better to me
because
too.
I mean, it's very again. It's like I want to maximize the opportunity for other players to interact with my carrier, and I think that me having that longer jump sequence or that longer scheduling period would be better for that. But it's very much personal preference, so it's okay if we don't agree. I'm not going to try and convince you.
No, and I know you're not.
I think it's fine.
I just would say, I think that if you did do it 10 minute, or 5 minute 15 instead, you still can have the easy waiting for people to get on your carrier, yet not penalize players like me who want to just jump with it. That'd be the last thing I'd say on it. Yamiks, Mullen, did you guys, Yamiks, did you want to chime in on jumping? Did we want to move on to? Yeah, go ahead.
Right, jumping. Right, so it's an interesting kind of a thing though. See, developers never really told us what the intentional game design of it is. So there's really basically two things I can draw from it. Either A, is designed to be, in line with normal ships. Or be not in line with the normal ships. Now, if it is not in line of the normal ships, then no cooldowns should be a better idea. So that would allow players to role play and say that, attention, 15 minutes till I jump. Or just say, fuck it, I'm just going to jump. right? So no cooldowns if it's not supposed to be in line with the normal ships. Now, if it is supposed to be in line with the normal ships, again, the question is, should it jump faster than normal ships, or should it not jump faster than the normal ships, right? And so on and so forth. So, because there are timers, I assume they want the fleet carrier to jump slower, but longer single distances than normal ships. So, with a normal ship, you would be like another Conda, you would be able to go those 500 light years faster faster in 20 minutes or further in 20 minutes, right? That makes sense in that case. Okay, fair enough. 20 minutes seems okay-ish. It feels fast enough and yet slow enough that the small ships still are faster in that case. Okay.
Hey,
Now we're
Hey, Yamiks, can I come in here a little bit? The thing I've been seeing is that like they have 5 minutes cooldown and 50 minutes spool up now. So they did have it at 1 hour before. So why can't we like set minutes for cooldown and spool up ourselves so we can time it better and
yeah.
perhaps schedule the jumps?
That's also another thing. But again, the developers haven't really told us what the design idea is, what the planning thing is. And I mean, okay, this is a very niche thing, but then again, if you're making a beta and you want feedback on this shit, guess what? Yamiks does talk about fucking game design. Provide him with some fucking information, god damn it. But anyways, that's just me, complaining there. So yeah.
So well,
point
me and
is,
if I can break. So
yeah.
a few guys from me and a few guys from Canonn, we went up like 6,000, like 3,000 light years up and 6,000 light years in total. And I was sitting there waiting for 1 hour cooldown and 1 hour spool up, and that took me like freaking 28 hours.
God.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we need to schedule.
And let me ask Mullen, if it had stayed 1 hour, would you guys even used them?
No.
Yeah, I mean, and I actually agree with the idea.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the idea that you brought up earlier, Mullen, of scheduling them. I think that would actually kind of get to Plater's argument a bit of being able to say, hey, guys, we're going to jump in 50 minutes and just setting that. This is when I want to jump. I think that'd be a great feature for that, for Plater's exact reason, right? That you could easily give that, let everybody schedule it out, right? I think that would be an awesome way to do it.
Also, another thing, we need to be able to schedule jumps because I can't be online 24/7 just to travel to Colonia. Like in the end, it will just be a waiting game, just waiting for the next.
But that's why it's there, so that you log in and inflate
And wait.
their Excel sheets. So basically, the developers are telling, "Fuck you, you're gonna be logging in."
Well, Canonn loves their spreadsheets anyway, right?
Jump schedule, please.
I'm kidding.
I agree with that. I think that'd be a great feature to have, just for convenience. And to me, it'd be quite a simple one. I don't say simple to add, but simple to use. But for the players, I
Certainly
think
doesn't
it'd
seem to
nothing
be
but
hard.
having
Yeah.
a benefit.
Doesn't seem like it'd be hard
And
to add.
keeping
does
us
it?
from going insane.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
we're
it's just
all
a
crazy
positive.
here.
It's like
Well, we all make videos for this game. Of course, we're crazy. There's something to be said for that. Why don't we move on to kind of, I think the last topic. Here's what I'm thinking we'll do, guys, is we'll talk about cartography here as the last topic, and then maybe go around with kind of final thoughts on what we have thought about the beta, what we hope for the next beta. That's coming in May. Is that work for everybody?
Oh, all right. So Mullen wants to go first. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So Mullen, well, I just kind of threw that in there, Yamiks. So if
Okay,
you really,
go.
No, if you really want to go first, I kind of avoided Mullen.
I can wait. I can wait.
Mullen, go on, buddy.
Universal cartographics, yeah. Was that what you were talking about?
Yeah, like just the fact that they've first of all to acknowledge if everybody hasn't seen they couldn't add it in this beta. They are going to add UC in the next beta and in release.
Yeah, next beta. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you see, I've discovered a few things around the galaxy, and I went once 22,000 light years and found something cool, and then I went straight back to the bubble. So I went back went a total of 44,000 light years in like 2 days. So yeah, universal cartographics and a fleet carrier station where I'm gonna explore. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. What are your thoughts, Mullen, on the pay? Right, if, essentially, did I see that if you sell to your own carrier, you only get 85% of what you would normally get? Is that right?
I'm fine with that because if I go like a 1 day, I can earn like 15, 20, up to 30 million. And in the old days, before we had a higher payout, I made like 200 million in a one trip. So yeah, and that's with the old system.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Mullen? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Otherwise, Yamiks, did you want to chime in?
Yeah. No one else? No? Okay. Right. So, just for the funs of it, how many of the present voice talking peoples think that the universal cartographics, them adding it to fleet carriers is a good thing?
I
Yes.
think it's good that they can survive.
Yes.
Yeah,
How
keep
could
some
you-
income when you're an explorer.
Yeah. How could you not? I mean,
All right.
but yes.
All right. How many of you have seen the movie Whiplash?
Yes.
Whiplash? I don't, oh, wait, you mean the jazz movie?
Yes.
Oh my God, fucking epic. If you guys, I was a jazz major in college though. If you've not seen Whiplash, it is absolutely outstanding. So yes, I've seen Whiplash.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one, right? So, and everyone just said good job. Do you get what I'm saying right now?
I think so. Because maybe not.
Essentially, we're all congratulating Frontier for putting in something essential of the game that should have been there in the first place and should be an okay thing at best.
Agree. Let's be clear. I'm not in that camp, Yamiks. In that,
It's a
yes, this should
gotcha.
have been
I know
there.
it's a gotcha, but the point here is, right, many things with the fleet carriers are still quite bad, and the changes throughout the stream and so on and so forth. A lot of us, probably even I, have said, oh, good thing and whatnot else, but I try to stay away from the word good myself as much as I can. See, the point here is that developers get somewhat wrong message when it comes down to us congratulating them on changing the values, when in reality the values were horrible and now they are okay or something like that. Doesn't matter if it's a fleet carrier or something else. It's just about the fact that they changed it to an acceptable level, and that really shouldn't be looked as a good thing. It should be okay, now we can talk about fine-tuning and making it actually good. Right? Okay, you did a decent job. That's about it. You did a decent job. Finally, we can talk about actual fine details of it, right? That's my point there, right? Sure, yeah, you can recognize and respect that, they listen to us, which is nice and dandy, but already saying that, oh, it's great, oh, it's good, it kind of does send the wrong message, doesn't it, though? In one way or another. Whether you intend it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer very quickly, which is yes, I think you make a very valid point. And the primary thing I think I would say where I say good job to Frontier is not necessarily that they fixed these, because you are absolutely right. All of this should have been avoided from the get-go. They should have should have
been by default.
Absolutely should have been by default.
Cartography.
Absolutely, right? Everything we've discussed, all the changes to numbers, everything. Where I will say good job, because I think, again, I'm using the word skeptically optimistic, because this does seem like a pretty big change from their past behavior, is the way they've been engaging with us recently and listening to us. So for me, that is a place where I will say good job, because that is such a change, not about what the actual changes are. I think you're absolutely right. And maybe I'm even wrong to say good job on that part, because they should have been engaging with us from the start anyway.
Yes,
so you can make the same
exactly.
argument, right? Yep. You can make it either way. But I guess I want to be more encouraging than anything, and more the attitude of finally Frontier, yes, please do more of this than maybe a straight up thank you, if that makes more sense.
If I make him dinner, maybe he won't punch me again.
Yeah, and that's a good, to your point
I
earlier.
love it, Pilot.
That's, yeah. right?
I love it.
It was my fault for burning the roast.
Plater, did you want to chime in on universal cartography?
Yeah, I mean, it should have been there in the start, and I've been saying this since it was seen not to be there. And I don't think the reasoning from Frontier was accurate for why they didn't put it in there.
It was
them
bottom
saying-
line idiotic and ignorant of the fact that they already had them on fucking mega ships to begin with. But never mind. Sorry for disrupting.
So what I was going to say was that it was thought that it should have been there in the first place, and I don't think Frontier are the correct people to say what they want explorers to be doing, and saying that returning home is a key pillar of exploration. If the people that decide that are the people that take part in the gameplay. It's like if you PvP and they say, well, a key part of the PvP is that we want people to spend for at least 10 minutes sat there on the rebuy screen. What? It would be as ridiculous as that. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
It does show that they haven't engaged in that content, so they don't know. One thing I will mention, which I think is it's quite typical of you can't please all of the people all the time. All you can do is hope is to please most of them. And that is someone saying but that means that if I get out there and I discover something cool, and then I want to come back. If someone's got a fleet carrier out there, I lose out because they get to sell their data first. It's just the same as if they have a bigger frameshift drive, or you're in a Asp Explorer, they're in a ridiculously built Anaconda. It's still just the same that they are better equipped to do it than you, so therefore would be better than you at it. It would be like complaining that my non-engineered Sidewinder can't take an FDL. Of course, it can't. I'm just not prepared enough. I think that's kind of the thought about it, is that you can't always win as an individual. But the fact is that having universal cartographics on fleet carriers means there are just more options for everybody. That's it.
It's a better shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, did Ryan already leave? Ryan, if you've got to bounce right now, or did you want to? We're going to get to kind of closing stuff. Do you want to go to that real quick and go first, or do you got to go right now?
Yeah, I gotta bounce.
Okay, Ryan, thanks for joining us, buddy. Sorry that you can't chime in.
No worries.
Yep.
Appreciate
Again,
it.
thanks. It's great to have your voice and your input as always. I'll look forward to catching up with you some more soon, my friend.
Sounds good. Later.
So with that, why don't we go ahead and we'll just kind of go through closing statements here. Why don't we? I put the queue in Discord. Why don't we start with Mullen, with our new guest from Canonn?
Yeah, sure. I see the fleet carriers as having great potential, and we can do a lot of it. I don't think we are able to see it yet, as of now, until we get it into the live game, and then we will start to see what people do with it. So I think we should just wait now and see what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's great. Plater.
I'm sticking with the time will tell. I'm trying hard not to judge something that still isn't finished. We still have another beta to go, which again we can all provide feedback on. I think that the changes that have been made are the steps in the right direction, but at the same time, we probably shouldn't have been in the place we were beforehand anyway. But feedback is being taken on board, I guess. If we want to assume people aren't malicious in their game development, then I would say, I guess they're taking feedback on board and they're listening to us. So steps in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Pilot.
I keep seeing people, purists and stalwarts in the chat here, saying that you don't have to buy one if you don't want to. God, this is also idiotic. And I keep thinking, you know what? You're absolutely right. I don't have to buy one, and I'm not going to. And that's mostly because I don't care. It's not my criticism of these things. These fleet carriers are not malicious. Sometimes I have a better solution for a mechanic in place I don't agree with. Sometimes I don't. Realistically, I'm not trying to personally, attack any dev or anything like that. I talked to at least one of them and it seemed nice enough. Realistically, I just don't care the way they're being presented right now. And I need someone to sell me on this. I need someone to show
Tell you
me why
you
it
care.
matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me why it cares. Tell me why I care. For God's sakes, this is not how you debut something that is supposed to be looked forward to and hyped. This is you're supposed to put on an event and a little bit of showmanship and say, this is what you can do for fighting so hard for it. 5 billion may not be a lot to some people, but it's a hell of a lot of freaking time and energy into a game that to get
Let's
this
be clear,
thing
it's a lot to everybody.
changes nothing.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
It's a lot of effort to get this thing that doesn't do anything. That's not okay. I just don't care. And until someone can make me care or there's a mechanic that changes the game, I'm not even going to touch it. That's it.
Yamiks.
Oh boy. Right. So
I love
my
when
rhetoric
Yamiks replies like
hasn't
that.
really changed and so on and so forth. It's just basically get this abusive garbage out of the game, and then we can start actually talking about the actual merits of the fucking thing in the first place. That's basically how I tend to go with these things. Otherwise, it's just going to be a negative fucking garbage and so on and so forth. But the thing is, as Pilot said, you don't have to buy it. Well, you don't have to buy it. Well. See, yeah, sure, you don't have to buy it, but do you think it doesn't get taken account in count when it's being designed in the whole game? Don't you think it affects the whole game, or is not made to affect the whole game? Of course it is. So you have to think about the implications that it has on the bigger scale, not because it doesn't affect you directly or because your gameplay is not being affected. Well, in some ways it all does, and the same thing goes with cosmetics oftentimes as well. But just like with cosmetics, yeah, sure, they're all optional. It's all optional, but it doesn't mean it doesn't affect the game. So yeah, just vote no on upkeep and decommissioning bullshittery. Make developers hear your voice and push that shit back.
As if our votes matter.
Well, I was going to say quickly, at 405 votes, 12% yes, you should have to work to keep it. 82% you should not. 6% don't care either way. Still pretty surprising to me, I have to admit.
Well, again, it's more tongue-in-cheek one, but yeah. Anyways,
the only thing I'm going to say, I'm going to echo a lot of what you guys said, or I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with it. Pilot, I think you're exactly right from the standpoint of what are these for? I think the good thing is that they have changed the numbers enough that it's now reasonable for us to figure that out, and for us to play with them to a lot of the points Plater made at the beginning of the stream, saying that, he's looking forward to doing X, Y, and Z, maybe making credits with them, things like that. I think all of that is now at least possible because they're not so prohibitively, ridiculously expensive or upkeep costs and things like that, with some changes. Obviously, we all agree the decommission, well, we all right here agree, the decommissioning mechanic is ridiculous. I think the last thing I want to address is the comment around you don't have to buy one, like, why do you care kind of thing. And I think
it's optional.
Well, and I think those kind of comments are always idiotic in my opinion. Right. Sorry to whoever said it, but I do, because and it's the same type of comment of, well, why do you bitch about the game? Well, it's the same comment of, if you don't like the game or you don't like something, don't play it, right? Or why do you bitch about it and blah, 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 right? Well, the reason we discuss this and the reason Pilot does care, he doesn't care about this feature, but I think he very much cares about the game. If none of us cared about the game, you wouldn't know who we were. We care about the game. We want the game to improve, right? We more than care about the game. Again, I think you could very easily argue we all love the game. Okay, that's why you know us, why we do what we do. And we want the game to improve and be better. We're passionate about it. That's why we complain about it, right? That's why we hold a stream like this for 2 hours, giving this kind of feedback. Okay, that's also why this isn't all, well, not all of us, all we do, right? We try to help the community. We want to have a positive impact on the game and on the community, on the thing that we love. So that's why we share this feedback. To say that just you don't have to be watching these streams. Well, that's an idiotic thing to say too, isn't it? If you've got feedback for us or for me, and
Hey,
it's
you said
constructive,
if you tell me, why
right?
you're
Well,
watching.
constructive feedback is what things need. Just saying you don't have to watch, you don't have to do it. I mean, that nothing progresses, nothing gets any better by making those sorts of comments. I will end with, I am still very skeptically optimistic about the way Frontier has reacted to this, in the notion of engaging with us in a way that they haven't before. I think the comment Pilot and others made about, just because something good happens in an abusive relationship doesn't make it not abusive anymore. I think that's fair, but I do want to acknowledge that there are positive things happening that haven't happened really ever before. And I think that's a good thing. And so I want to acknowledge the things that are good while still continuing to call out and address the things that aren't. With that, let me thank everybody again for joining and for all of us getting together to do this. I hope you guys have enjoyed these. This will be the last, I think, in this series since the beta ends. Let's talk about that real quick. Beta ends on Monday. Is that right, guys? On the 20th?
Yeah, pretty much. Monday, 20th.
Do we have a time? Have they set a time when it goes down?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I
Who
didn't think I'd
cares?
seen that.
No
Yeah,
one cares. I
fair.
certainly don't.
Fair enough. And then the next beta will be, assuming that they stay on schedule with, in a way I'm kind of impressed they do with everything going on with COVID. That's the only reason I would be impressed. But that the next beta is sometime in May, and then the release will be in June. So we've still got one full beta. The next beta in May will include all the console players. So you guys will get a chance to test these out. As they've shown, they migrated production to beta for this one about 2 weeks ahead of time, or Thursday, the Thursday 2 weeks ahead of it. I think that was about right. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So if you want to play in the next beta, you didn't have enough credits for this time because you didn't realize that, make sure that you've ground that out in the next, in that next month. One other thing that people are going to have to understand when beta launches, and I think it's actually going to be the worst thing that's going to happen around beta, is because all of the hotspots are being recreated because of Tritium, the triple hotspot at Baran is going to go away. All the known overlapping double hotspots
That's in
that
June,
we know.
though.
It's in June. Sorry if I said May, forgive me. But all of those hotspots are going to go away. Now, Frontier confirmed that they've done nothing in the code to prevent overlapping hotspots from coming back, but we're going to have to rediscover them. So everybody's going to scream and bitch that that's a giant nerf, because right off the bat, it's going to be true. We're going to be making less credits because of that change, but it's not a nerf. It's
Until somebody finds another
until
triple
somebody
hotspot.
finds the new triple hotspots. Exactly, right? Which will no doubt happen. It took time the first time. The first time around, though, I don't know that we necessarily knew that's what to look for, so I think it'll be quicker this time. But just to prepare everybody, if you feel like you need credits, the next 6 weeks or whatever it is the time to get them, because you're still going to be able to make 150 million an hour, even with a non-overlapping hotspot. But the 250 million we can make right now, that's going to change day one, so just be ready for it.
I gotta just
hotspots
say,
will be plenty anyway, so
Agreed.
I just gotta say that in other games you get sent to the mines as punishment, and in our game
You get sent to the mine
they
as
take
punishment.
away the mines.
Yeah, but you have to mine
They took
as the
away mines,
punishment,
do one.
right?
in the Skyrim you got that, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
For those that would
Right.
like to continue to chat with us, as soon as I end the stream here, I'm going to open up the floor in Discord for conversation. I'm going to do the same thing we did last time and kind of ask people to raise their hands. I'm going to be watching the live streaming chat channel for that. So if you guys want to stick around, I'll cover that in just a second. But to the other guys, to the creators that are here, assuming you guys aren't staying, again, thanks very much for being willing to get together and do this with me, with all of us. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. It's always good to have interesting conversation about something.
Yeah, get everybody's
for
different perspectives.
organizing.
Yeah. No, this has been great. So, again, take care, everybody. I'm going to stop my stream now, but I'm going to hang around in Discord. I don't know who of you guys are, but we'll be chatting here. I'll paste it.
Actually, before we end, I got a pretty decent question.
Please.
Just as a finishing, maybe positive thing, I guess. Somebody asked from my end, what's everyone's ideal fleet carrier? Just go in a sentence.
One I can steal.
One that I can store my entire fleet and all of my modules and move around when I want.
Passive
For me, it's
income.
not shit. Sorry.
I wanted a smaller one, 2 landing pads, and fly like a big fat ship, like a Panther Clipper.
Okay. Plater, did you answer?
Yeah, Plater.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So I just want something I can make a passive income off of and will pay for itself. So at least it feels like there's an economy happening around it.
Okay. Yamiks, answer your own question.
Mine was one that is not shit. You know, that's not a high bar, for fuck's sakes.
Do you want to define what not
I mean-
shit is, or you just want to leave us there?
Not abusive, not negative, not something that is at least okay. Fuck it, I'll take a simple model that does nothing over this garbage. I shit
You
you
don't
not.
even look cool. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
not-
They
I don't think they
don't-
look great either, to be honest. So, and with that, let's close on Yamiks's final thought, which is something that's not shit. Something that's not shit. So, again, thanks everybody, and I'll see everyone here very soon. Take care, guys.
All right, thank you. Take
Thank
care,
you,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Right, I'm off to my Discord.
Great.
Woo.